Hi everybody, welcome back. As you can hear, I don't really have too much of a voice right now, and that's because I got a little sick, which I thought this would be a good video to do because we all tend to get sick at some point, right? And sometimes we're in that space where, oh, we can take a day off and that'll work fine, and we have lesson plans and things are good, but sometimes things don't always work out quite that neatly, right? Sometimes we don't have lesson plans set up already, or sometimes our principals won't let us play a movie when we're gone, or who knows. Or maybe we've got a concert on Monday and we have to be at each rehearsal, right? So this is going to be how do we get through a time when we get a little bit sick, and how do you make it through that period of time? And the first thing I want to tell you is this, which shout out to Western. That's where I got my master's in counseling out. So this is my alumni cup. But anyway, one thing that I have in here is hot water. And if you can put, before you put the hot water in, or any water, you can put a layer of honey on the bottom of the cup, and then put water in it, and then put it in the microwave for about a minute or so. And what that does is this honey water is like a miracle cure, okay? Because you can drink it and you'll get part of your voice back if you lose your voice. So I don't know if you ever lose your voice during the year. I definitely do, especially in marching band season, but also if I ever get a cold or anything. So I had kind of a voice this morning, and then by the time the last hour hit, my voice was barely there. Now, after I got a little bit of time off, then it started coming back, but I'll tell you, this hot water with honey, that makes a huge difference. So I'm drinking that tonight and hoping my voice comes back, because I got a concert on Monday and there's no way I can miss tomorrow. So I'm not so sick right now that I'm like on my deathbed or anything, but isn't that how it is, right? We just kind of live through it and walk through it. So let's talk about the other things that when you're not feeling well, what happens, right? Number one, we can get super irritable with our kids. Sometimes we get irritable with our kids at home too. That can happen too. But, and little things will start ticking us off. Like maybe there's a ton of trash on your floor. Maybe kids have taken out notebook paper and left all those little crinkles on the ground. Or maybe they've left their reed wrappers all over the place, right? Or whatever, who knows, wrappers from their Halloween candy. And it just gets annoying, right? Like, why are we picking so many things up? So I would just encourage you, when you get annoyed, try to be proactive, okay? Rather than just being like, it would be nice if someone could help me with this, rather than being super passive aggressive like that, which is so easy to do, and especially when you're not feeling well. It's better to just say something like, I'd like everybody in the next 1 minute to pick up at least 10 things off the floor. Here we go, and go. Or maybe you don't need a whole minute. Maybe it's just, in the next 10 seconds, I want everybody to pick up 3 pieces of trash off the floor. Ready, and go. And then count them down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, etc., etc. Okay, now, not everybody may do it, and that may also annoy you, but a lot of kids will. And even if a few kids do, well, that's going to inspire you, right? Because at least a few kids were on the same page as you, which is good, right? And then we can get super annoyed when we are at home too, right? With our own kids, and maybe we might make a meal and then, assume that they'll do the dishes, but then later on see the dishes still out, right? And so when that happens, and we get annoyed, or when we get irritable, just remember, number one, to be gracious with yourself, but also to apologize, because guess what? We're going to make mistakes, and it doesn't mean you're the worst parent in the world or the worst teacher in the world when you get annoyed or irritated. It just means that you need to go back and try to make things better, and just know that most people are pretty gracious, and so we got to try to be gracious with ourselves too, even though it's hard. And sometimes we want to be perfect, right? Unless you aren't like that. But a lot of us are, I know. So just a reminder that sometimes when you aren't feeling well, or when you haven't gotten enough sleep, it's just about not doing harm more than about helping that day. And sometimes that's something to keep in mind. Um, you know, some days we're going to be really, really effective. Other days, we just need to know that maybe we're kind of on the edge with our nerves, or maybe something's really bothering us and stressing us out. And so it's just more important on those days to say, okay, I just have to have self control today because I know that I'm kind of on the edge, and I know that my tone of voice has been kind of irritable lately, and I do want my students to have a good experience. And so I need to talk to them and just say, hey, look, this has been going on for me, and I want to make sure that I'm in the best space for you because you deserve that. And so I'm just going to say, if you guys could just be really cooperative today, that would be really awesome because I don't really have that much of a voice. So that might be something that you could try. Another thing that you could try is just saying, boy, I need to really quiet today because this is about how loud I can speak. And so if you can do your best, raise your hand, and if you would be willing to really try to talk a little bit less today. And you might be surprised at how many kids would actually buy in and raise their hand and say, I will do that for you, Mrs. Tatweiler, or whoever you are. So don't be afraid to be a little bit vulnerable and say to them, this is where I'm at today, guys. Now, don't be shocked if they have absolutely no change in their behavior because, let's face it, every single person out there, whether they're adult or kid, most people are the most concerned with what's going on in their own lives, not with your life. So, but that's not a personal thing. That's just natural human behavior. So, if kids are more focused on their own and what's going on with them, and they aren't really that sensitive to your own feelings, don't be annoyed or too irritated. Although if you are, that's understandable. But just know that it doesn't have anything to do with you, really. It's just because in middle school band, there's a lot of drama. Somebody broke up with somebody else over the lunch hour, and then of course they have to debrief that. And usually it's at the beginning of your band class when you want them to actually be following pals, right? The put away your instrument and take care of the case, answer the questions, listening, and speaking only when necessary, right? So if you want to know more about that, you can check out my technique video. But you've got all those things going on in marching band. You might have some kids that didn't bring the right uniform, or maybe some kids that didn't bring a coat and gloves on a cold day or whatever, and then they don't want to go outside. So you're gonna see all kinds of things. So I just want you to know that I am so sorry you're not feeling well, if that's the case for you. And I'm so sorry that you have to live through that, even though you might not be feeling well, but you've got the concert or you got the performance that you just can't miss. And I want you to know that I really appreciate how committed you are to these kids, that you are willing to put your own health on the line, right? To be there, even though you're not feeling great, because those kids need you, and you're doing that. So the fact that you're even there when you're not feeling well just tells me and reminds me that, man, you are really there for those kids. And so every bit of coughing that you do in front of your class or whatever, just know that demonstrates your love for them. And, you can give your own self a little bit of a hug or a high five for that one because it's awesome. All right. So have a good week. Hang in there. Drink your tea and take care. Bye.